Hi folks, welcome to your homework assignment. Tonight you have page 102 to 103, 30 to 46, and page 110 to 111, 11 to 33 odd, 38 and 39. I just wanted to let you know I promised I'd make you a video to help you with a couple, to go over some of the problems from page 102 to 103. I chose 39 to go over with you, because that odd one isn't in the back of the book. We're going to go over 40 and 42. And then, to go over a set from, or a problem from 110 to 111 on direct variation, I thought it'd be good to go over your scuba diving problem, because that one also is not in the back of the book. So I thought that would be helpful. All right, so let's do this. Problem 39. We'll read it together. It's a multiple choice question. It says, which point lies on the plane that passes through the point 9, -5, and has a slope of -6. So the first thing I'm going to go ahead and do is take a moment to practice writing our point slope form for our line, and then I'll turn that into y equals mx plus b. So just to review, point slope form goes y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And they're telling me the slope is -6. They're also giving me some information about x1 and y1 in this problem. So x1 is 9, and y1 is -5. And I'm going to go ahead and take a few seconds to just simplify this particular equation I just wrote. Remember, simplifying involves combining like terms and the distributive property. So I'm going to rewrite this side as y plus 5. And then the right side of the equal sign becomes -6x plus 54. I'm going to take a second and go ahead and solve this equation for y by subtracting 5 from both sides. So we get y equals -6x plus 49. So that's our equation of the form y equals mx plus b that describes a line that passes through the point 9, -5, and has a slope of -6. Now what we want to go ahead and do is kind of check to see which of these points could possibly work in that equation. And one way to do that is to throw this into your y1 in your calculator and look at your t-chart or your table of values to see which of those points is on your graph. And when you go ahead and you plug this into your graphing calculator and you press that table button, what you will see is the point 7, 7 is on your table, which means your answer to this problem is C. Okay, let's take a look at another one. All right, so the tricky part about this problem, I'm thinking most of you would meet with a good amount of success on this. The tricky part about this problem isn't getting the x and y necessarily to be on the same side of the equal sign, but this is that thing I kind of prepped you about a couple days ago. Sometimes they make you use integer values for a, b, and c, which means our coefficients for a, b, and c have to be whole numbers. So let's take a look at number 40. I know that those are already whole numbers, so this won't be too bad, but if we're looking at something like that, we're going to have to switch it up. So that's why I chose those two to do. So let's do number 40 together first. So number 40, remember in our homework we copy the problem. And to start with, I'm like, okay, well, they give me an m and a b. I'm just going to write the y equals mx plus b version of this equation. And then I can take a moment to convert it to standard form just by moving that 3x to the other side. So what I get is 3x plus 1y equals 5, which is the form they wanted it in. So I see my A value is 3, my B value is 1, my C value is 5. Now for 42, it works a little differently. For 42, if I go to write the y equals mx plus b for that, what I'm going to notice is I have a rational coefficient here, and they say a, b, and c has to be integers. So there's a little bit more legwork involved on this one. Let's do this one together. So what they're giving me in this problem is a slope and a point. So straight out of the gate, they gave me a slope and a point. I'm going to go ahead and write point slope form for this. So I'll do y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. I'll go ahead and simplify that. Remember, typewritten fractions in the problem means all your work and your answer is going to be in fraction form. So I just distributed that negative 3 halves in there. So it gets me negative 3 halves x. And then I can cross cancel this 2 and this 4, which means I'm doing negative 3 times negative 2, which got me that positive 6 there. I am going to go ahead and take a moment to get that y by itself by subtracting 7 from both sides. When I subtract 7 from both sides, I'd get a negative 1. Now I'm going to kind of see what I did here, and I notice I could just slide that x over to the other side by adding 3 over 2x to both sides. And initially, looking at it, you're like, yes, I did ax plus by equals c, but this is the point in the directions that they were kind of talking about. They want a, b, and c up here to be integers, and 3 over 2, my friends, is not an integer. How do you turn it into an integer? Well, let's review our LCD method. So we're going to take a second, and if I want to get rid of that 2, or get rid of the fractions in the problem, I can actually multiply the entire problem by 2. So what we'll get is 3x plus 2y equals 2. Yep, I just noticed. It's supposed to be a negative 1 there, so that'll be a negative 2 there. There we go. That's better. So we got 3x plus 2y equals negative 2. So a, b, and c are integers, whole numbers. Okay, let's see. All right, now your word problem. Word up. So we'll read it together. The time at t it takes a diver to ascend safely to the surface varies directly with the depth d. Oh, there it is, kids. There's that phrase we talked about in class. Varies directly with the depth. It takes a minimum of 0.75 minutes, so 3/4 of a minute, for a safe ascent from a depth of 45 feet. Write an equation that relates d and t, then predict the minimum time for a safe ascent from a depth of 100 feet. So I have to write an equation that relates d and t first. So I go back to this sentence, and it says time varies directly with depth. So time varies directly with depth. Then they give me some information that's going to help me figure out what this a value is. So it takes 0.75 minutes to ascend from a depth of 45 feet. If I want to go ahead and solve that for a, I'm taking 0.75 and I'm dividing it by 45. And you're allowed to use a decimal if you would like. take a minute. Sorry there. So I'm a fraction fan. I'm going to go ahead and do 0.75. Just review with you real quick how you would do this if you didn't have your calculator. So we have 3/4, which is 0.75, divided by 45. So that's your keep, switch, flip. Because that's like 45 over 1. And then 3 and 45 cross reduce. So what we get there, 4 times 15 is 60. So my A value, when I solved, was 1/60. Not quite done yet because it says write an equation that relates D and T. So I now have to take this A value and throw it back into my equation to finish that step of the problem. So I have T equals 1/60th D. So that's done. Equation written. Now I get to use it. It says write an equation. Oh, we did that. Then predict the minimum time for a safe ascent from a depth of 100 feet. So part B of this problem is saying let our depth equal 100. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I can cross reduce right now just looking at it. 20 goes into both of these things, right? 20 goes into 63 times, 20 goes into 105 times, and then I would multiply, so I get 5/3, which is 1 2/3, or you could say 1.6 repeating, and we were solving for time there, so this is minutes. 1.6 minutes, or 1 2/3 minutes, or 5/3 minutes, however you want to write it. That is how long it will safely take you to rise 100 feet below the surface. All right, that's it. Good luck studying.